All right, gamers, Destiny 2 is changing more than you think. A lot of grind that you do in the game right now is totally changing in Edge of Fate, and I feel like the community just doesn't know enough information on it yet because Bungie's waiting until their stream on June 24th. I'm seeing a lot of questions in chat every day of talking about armor and should you keep stuff? Should you focus on mobility? Should you focus on intellect? You know, what builds are going to change? Should I delete my vault? Should I keep these weapons? And everyone's kind of just confused. So I kind of wanted to just release a yap video here of me just talking about all the stuff that I see as a good thing in Edge of Fate, and there's also some bad things, and kind of worried about how the Destiny community is going to take this. Remember, it's free to click the sub button down below, so go ahead and turn on notifications so when all the new news comes out for Destiny 2's Edge of Fate, and we got new strats and build videos and prep guides and all that, you won't miss out on them, because I know you guys come into chat and you tell me, Clyde, you're going to drop a video on this when I dropped it last week because you didn't watch it. Click the button. So with armor, right now I'm going to show you a really good piece that I have on my hunter. Now this is a juicy piece right now. If I take off all my mods, this is 68 legendary, which is very hard to get. I throw some mods on it for my build to, help me out with the artifice gear. And I don't know about you guys, but I tried farming for artifice armor on duality and the spikes just weren't there. So I released a previous video telling everybody to go turn in their echo engrams and get those high mobility, high super intellect builds that you can possibly save for a day one raid. What you have to understand is what we're going to be grinding for those first couple days prepping for the raid might not be replacements for your armor. We might not be there. I think people are underestimating the grind of what we're getting ready to do in Destiny 2. You literally have to grind your power level coming out of that campaign. Then you're going to have to grind as many missions as you want to increase your power level. And then once you hit the 200 stat, you're going to be able to go into seasonal power level. Pretty much how our artifact helps us now. You're 2020 and then you get a fake power level from how much XP you had stored or how much your account has. So with these seasonal armor power buffs, Bungie's trying to gatekeep the tier 5 armor from us and no one even knows about it. Let me tell you why. From July 15th to September, we're only able to get to 450 power. And then with the September update, you're going to be going to 550. Well, in that 400 to 500 range, you want to be farming ultimate. You can't even farm ultimate right off the rip until September. So to get tier 5 loot, we're hoping that it's going to drop in that GM level range where you hit the 400. So that's tier 4s, but maybe some tier 5s will drop. Again, we don't know this. Bungie hasn't said anything. Knowing them, they do want to slow us down. They tried it with the firing range. Firing range wasn't supposed to drop for 3 weeks leading into the DLC. They just put in the twid today that they're releasing it day one. If we go and look at the stats of what this tiered armor is, most of your artifice gear is going to be sitting around tier 3 armor in Edge of Fate. I mean, if it's really bad statted artifice gear, you might sit in a tier 2. And then like perfectly statted artifice gear with like huge spikes of like 28 or more might go into the tier 4 range. But what I'm trying to explain to you here is that Bungie hasn't really dropped a lot of news on this. In 2 weeks when they have their live stream, they're going to tell you, but 2 weeks from now, it might be too late because you've already deleted your whole vault. Remember, there is sources that you can get high stat armor from. You can go do pit when it's the featured dungeon. It should be coming up here soon. That final boss drops huge spikes. That pit is just crazy spiked gear. You can hand in echo engrams at failsafe like I showed you before. And if you want to farm Grasp of Avarice, the final boss, you can do that as well. Literally, you just melt 2 champs, grab the engrams, deposit 1 phase the boss. I have not done that farm in a while. I don't know how good the spikes are, but seeing duality artifice spiked gear, it was terrible. Echo engrams were 10 times better. You're not going to be really replacing your current weapons and your current gear for a while, especially if you're not a day one raider. If you're not a day one raider and you're not raiding on July 19th, you have no reason to go quick. You're not going to grind super duper fast. Now I know you probably see stuff like this where it says, oh, well, if you rock the new gear, you get new bonuses and you get 7.8% damage resistance. We don't need that. And then, oh, kinetic slot weapon damage, another 6%, an energy weapon slot, 15%, and a power slot, 6%. You don't have to convert to this new stuff unless it's good. Don't feel like you need to just jump to it because I feel like it's bait. At first I was all about it. I was telling everybody like, Chad, delete your whole vault. And then I'm like, wait a minute. But to be fair, I only told people to delete the stuff that was really bad stats, So now let's talk about the armor sets, and this is something I don't like about the Edge of Fate. There's only 6 archetypes of the armor that we're going to be able to get off the bat for Edge of Fate. I think this is Bungie's way of saying, hey, you're only going to get these 6 off the bat because we need to see if this system works. I feel like Bungie doesn't have confidence in the new system because if they did, they would have had way more than just 6. And if you look here, there's not a single armor that drops super and weapons, and that is mobility and intellect. That is why it's important to pre-prep now. Now you're probably like, well, Clyde, I don't need 200 weapon stat. I don't need 200 intellect stat for my super. You don't need to have that on all the time. But if you go into a DPS phase and you loadout switch so you can get 45% more damage on your super and 10% on your heavy weapon and 15% on your energy weapon, that could be the difference of you killing a final stand of the new raid boss or wiping. So that's kind of important. So seeing these armor sets, I'm liking the Paragon set for my Titan. Right now, you got an artifact mod in the game that is called Limit Break. This is free damage to your super when you cast your super with that buff. So if I'm on my Arc Titan, if I have amplified and I cast my super, boom, I just get a free juice. And this is a 30% buff. So now if we look at what happens if you go into damage phase with 200 intellect, you're going to get a 45% increased super ability damage. That's insane. So it's going to be even more. Limit Break, the way it works with Well of Radiance right now, if the Warlock popping the well has Limit Break procced, they get 30% weapon damage. If Bungie messes up and codes this 200 stat super, which is your intellect, at a 45% super ability damage buff, if it works with the well and it works with your weapons, I doubt they'll let it slide, but people are definitely going to be testing that day one. This stat is very important, I feel like, for Titan and Hunters and Warlocks for the raid. So intellect, in my opinion, might be a little stronger than mobility. I was just posting that video to tell people to get mobility stat armor right now because you can't farm for it in the game. You can't. Like, we don't know what Edge of Fate's gonna bring, like what armor we're gonna be farming for. Just because we see that there's 6 stats of armor that we can farm for doesn't mean it's gonna be easy. Like, do you really think that first week of the grind of getting ready for the raid, or even that first weekly reset, Bungie's just gonna hand you all the good stuff off the bat? I don't think so. We're gonna see a lot of time gating good stuff because they don't want everyone to burn themselves out because of the new leveling system. This new portal is going to confuse a lot of people. I think it's kind of a throw. I really like the core feature of Destiny that it's had for years is the destination map. This is what gives Bungie its identity, and the fact that they're not updating this screen at all. The new Kepler planet will not be on this. You have to go and do it through the portal. I hope they backpedal on that. I think we should have both, but I think if you want to do OG Destiny, you should be able to just have your destination map and do it that way, and you should use the portal as well, just because I feel like that's a huge jump for the community to do. While we're talking about this portal, some of the videos that I've seen the creators upload, there was a lot of old missions on that portal. I think with all this new stuff that Bungie's giving us, why are we doing old stuff? Why are we doing all these old missions? Like, cool, you want me to do something from the Forge from years ago, and you want me to go do Savathun's song Nightfall. They haven't talked yet, and hopefully in their streams they talk about new strikes. Like, where's the new stuff? That's what a lot of the creators that went to the summit were even saying in their videos. I was watching GsxrClyde's video. He said, what I don't like about Edge of Fate, and he mentioned it, like, where's the new stuff? And I get Bungie didn't want to show this stuff. They didn't want to show the new content. GsxrClyde said that a lot of people don't know this, but lost sectors are going away. They're now called solo op. It was said that solo ops was terrible. You literally load in, it's like a huge map, you kill certain enemies, and then you like run and run and run and run to the end and kill a boss. It's like really bad. They were saying it was like terrible, and we were really rooting for that to be good, because I don't know about you guys, but when I'm trying to do something solo, I want to just be able to queue solo and do a strike solo or do whatever and not get interrupted, but also have fun at the same time, so you're not just doing the same repetitive stuff, because that's what Destiny's going to be now. When you're leveling up in Edge of Fate, you're going to not really enjoy this change. We're going back to old school Destiny leveling where you have to grind a lot. Most people aren't going to make it to this like level delta to unlock the better gear, because the way it was worded in the explanation by Bungie and the creators, you can't do level 300 master stuff to get tier 3 drops if you're not like close with that power level. So like, you can't be 240 trying to do 300 level activities. I think you have to be within 40 power level. Again, don't quote me on that. But also, if I'm level 400 a week after the raid because I found a way to cheat the system and just do the same activity over and over and farm power levels, if someone from chat joins me at level 200, I don't think I'm going to be able to launch that activity because they don't have access to it. Let's say Bungie does let you. Why would the player base want to do that? Because they're going to get bronze tier 2 drops and I'm going to get tier 4 drops, but we're doing the same activity. That's not going to work. The Destiny community is going to complain that they have to put in the work and they got to grind again, and it's a chore, and I don't want a power level, and I can't. I got 6 jobs and 2 wives and 3 mistresses and 6 fish and 2 cats and a turtle named Tom. I don't have time to play video games. I say this with kindness. I ran a full-time job in a business and I started streaming. If it's a hobby you like doing, you're gonna put in the work. A live service game is meant to be grinded, not to be handed out. The last year of the Destiny grind, the waiters have always won. If you didn't do the grind initially, you waited for Bungie to nerf that grind, and then you sign on and you get everything for free. That ain't gonna work no more. You're gonna have to grind. So if you don't want to grind Destiny with its new system, which I think is gonna be good, I'm thinking that this new leveling system and the tiered loot, they're gonna give you a reason to grind to get to that point. But if you're looking for handouts, you might not want to play, because I don't want to hear it. The whole comment where people are like, sorry, we don't have time to play video games all day. I'm sorry, I worked 9.5 years to get to where I am to do it. I mean, I gave up a lot. With the portal changes, with the gear changes, with the weapon changes, we don't know what's going to be good. We can now test it in the testing facility now with day one. A lot of people don't know, but I can go over this armor stat real quick. We've been talking about it. I know a few creators have been talking about it. Mac's been talking about it the most, but your melee cooldown. There's been clips going around where people do Gambler's Dodge on the Hunter, and it doesn't refund the melee ability in Edge of Fate. Now that is correct. You don't build into 70 stats, at least on your melee, it won't be refunded. So like pretty much treat it like this: 100 stat today in Destiny, like 100 grenade, is 70 stat and melee stats in Edge of Fate for refund. So if you have Heart of Inmost Light on your Hunter and you want your class ability and your melee to come back quick as possible and your grenade, you're going to need 70 stat minimum on all three of those. Do you need to build into that? No, but it's going to be nice to have that. Also, this opens up more build opportunity. I know people aren't going to really like that with these stats now, but again, I'm just going to go over this really quick. I think that health is going to be pointless. So as you see here, Bungie was smart. You see what Bungie's doing? They're making mobility and resilience important. I can tell you right now that all my gear is resilience on my Warlock and my Titan. I don't run any resilience on my Hunter. I usually stay around the 2 or the 3. So I don't have non-resilience gear for those characters. So I'm gonna need to farm those. I don't think health is going to be important for PvE. We'll test this out, but I think you might be able to get away with like running 50 or even lower resilience on your builds in Edge of Fate. But we'll test it out. Maybe it'll be 70, that even mark, but I doubt it. Going into mobility, do you need 200 stat on your weapons at all time? It's not that big of a buff. You're literally taking Vorpal and putting it on your weapons. So me, I'm not going to roll around on my characters at all times and having 200 mobility. That will be a loadout swap right before damage. I know you guys don't like loadout swapping, but it's currently the meta now in the game. You just got to get used to it. And even with not swap, as long as you don't change your exotic, you're fine. But you could swap exotic class item from Inmost Light Sarachne on your Hunter to Star Eater Inmost Light. You will not lose your super. Same thing with Titan. I could run Bonk Hammer Titan with Synthoceps, and as long as I don't switch off Synthoceps, I keep my super. But we'll probably be, trying out some different builds with the Titan. But anyways, I just wanted to make that clear. I think farming mobility intellect here right now before Edge of Fate drops is very important, because you're not going to be able to do it in Edge of Fate because there is no archetype that currently has those stats. So please pay attention to that kind of stuff. Recovery. I don't think recovery is going to be important for your armor either. It's going to sit at 70. If you don't care about getting your class ability back quick, which most of us do, because we use the barricade, we use the Phoenix dive, and we use the dodge for the Hunter. So sitting above 70, that's all you really need to worry about, is so you're getting the base cooldown that we have now. Now we got melee, 30% increased melee ability damage. I don't know about you guys, but I like melee builds on all 3 characters. So give me that free 200 stat. That is going to be pretty much where I'm sitting at all times, throwing the bonk hammer, throwing the punches with the Hunter, and throwing the uppercuts with the Warlock. I'm all for that. Discipline, again, grenades. Hello Warlocks, hello Verity, hello Starfire, hello chucking nades while you're damaging a boss. 65% increased damage for the Warlock is going to be disgusting. And then, which brings me back down to intellect for your super. I know I said mobility, but man, I'm telling you guys, I don't think there's going to be a build where I just don't roll around with 200 intellect at all times. So I know mobility is important, and I know we've said that in previous videos, but I think intellect is just as important. But what's nice is that there is some super archetypes with these sets. So you're going to be able to get super grenade, which is grenadier, and then you're going to be able to get super melee, which is paragon. Me personally, I want both. I want to see what's going to be the best. What if I can't get these sets before the raid? What if I can't get high stat gear? That's what you use your echo engrams for. That's the whole point of prepping right now, so that you don't have to run into that kind of stuff. So this right here is a piece that I farmed from an Echo engram for my Titan. It's 63, it's low, but hey, it's still giving me 26 mobility, 24 intellect. When I masterwork, this will be 28 and 26, and it might be the same stats, 1-to-1 conversion in Edge of Fate. Am I going to be able to grab stuff like this in Edge of Fate? We don't know, so you might as well spend the engrams just to prep for it. Now, if you're trying to figure out how to turn in your Echo engrams because you have a whole bunch to focus, I recommend just keeping mobility on your ghost shell. Here's why. The top 3 are separated from the bottom 3, so if you look, remember how I went over each stat? Resilience and recovery isn't really important on builds. So you want it to have mobility, but then you also want it to spike with discipline, intellect, or strength. So if you have it focused on your ghost to have mobility spikes, it's guaranteed to spike with discipline, intellect, or strength. So if you get a piece that has discipline mobility, you're going to keep it. So if you have a piece with discipline mobility, you're like, oh, this is a win. What if I want a grenade build and a weapon build? I win. And then if you have a mobility and an intellect, you keep it as well. So it kind of just makes it easier for your grind. Now, I did do some testing and I changed my ghost to recovery because I was trying to focus on getting my class ability back. So then it spiked with discipline, intellect, or strength. So if you got like an Immos light build that you use on your Titan and you still want to use the consecration slam, maybe you do change your ghost to recovery so that you can get that base stat of around 70. So you get your class ability back, and then it spikes with strength for your melees. So you can kind of switch it up as you go. So now with overloading you all this information that I just talked about, I know if I sit here and keep yapping, you guys are going to fall asleep. I just wanted to prepare you for what's coming. Do not think that the game's going to be easy. I hope Bungie stands on this. I hope that they keep these changes for at least a month or two to just teach the community that it's okay. It's okay to deal with change. You didn't want an update like this. You didn't want Marathon. You wanted Destiny 3. Well, this is like Destiny 2.5. Let them make these changes. Even if the grind is terrible, we need to be able to just test it out and see what we think about it. I think that having separation in the game is good. It just encourages people, if you want good armor, you need to grind for it. You can't just wait for the cheese and get the handouts. The way the game sits now is you turn it on, you play for 10 hours, maybe 15, you put a Lord of Wolves in your hand, and you find the build you need, and you're done. Oh, well, do I need to go farm that weapon this week? I don't need it. The 3 guns that I have in my weapon arsenal right now destroys the game. Why do when I do a GM now, it just feels like a regular strike? There's no reason to keep playing. But with this new system, going to encourage you to play the game more, which is good. Thanks for watching this video. We got the Edge of Fate prep guide coming up next. I'm sure Bungie on the 24th with their live stream, they will kind of answer most of the questions as well, or the weekly twids.